This is the story of a fisherman named John, who, like every day, takes his small boat out to sea to catch fish. But something different happens on this day. Suddenly, a thick fog envelops everything, and nothing can be seen for miles around. John loses his way, and while wandering here and there, he spots a deserted boat. Out of curiosity, he ties his boat to that one and decides to go inside and take a look. As soon as he enters the boat, he is shocked. The entire boat was empty. No people, no sounds, just a mysterious silence. When John entered that mysterious boat, everything seemed completely normal. The food was fresh, the clothes were neatly arranged, and there were signs of human presence everywhere. But there was no one there. He tries to start the boat, but the engine doesn't work. John is astonished to see a lone, empty boat in such a vast ocean. He tries to look around with binoculars, hoping someone might be nearby, but a thick fog had covered everything. Disheartened, he returns to the control room and turns on the radio lying there. With the intention of sending a distress signal, John transmitted a message on the radio. "This boat is stranded at sea. If anyone is listening, please respond." After sending the message, he thought he should return in his small boat, but when he went outside, his boat was gone, even though he had tied it securely. His surprise grew even more when he saw that the fog surrounding him had suddenly cleared and the sky was completely open. It was now midday. John couldn't understand what was happening. Seeing no other way to return, he went back to the empty ship and started searching for a route using the map. John is now trying to figure out where exactly he is and how he can get back home. The problem was that the engine of that mysterious boat was broken. If he wanted to survive, he had to fix the engine at any cost. He searched the entire ship for a toolbox, and after a lot of hard work, managed to repair the engine. This was a huge relief for him. Now the boat had started running, and he was slowly beginning to understand the direction as well. But the danger was not over yet. John goes to the control room and tries to contact someone on the radio again, but this time too, there is no response. Everything was still shrouded in mystery. Then the boy comes up and suddenly needs to use the toilet. Since no one was around, he thinks, "I'll just do it in the sea." As soon as he goes to the edge, suddenly someone pushes him from behind. He falls straight into the water. The situation was extremely dangerous, but by grabbing the reel, he somehow managed to save himself from drowning. The pressure of the wind and water was so intense that it became difficult to get back to the boat. But he didn't give up, gathered his courage, and slowly pulled himself back onto the boat with the help of the reel. In the midst of all this, he couldn't finish his business, so he went to use the toilet again. As soon as he got down, suddenly, someone slammed the door shut. At first, John thought it was just the wind and didn't pay attention, but when he tried to get out, he saw that the door had been locked from the inside. Now he was left stunned. He tried everything to open the door. He even took a coin out of his pocket and tried to jam it into the lock to open it, but nothing worked. Now he started to feel that he was not alone on this ship. There was someone who was troubling him, who couldn't be seen but was always present. He began to feel as if someone was playing a cruel game with him. He shouted loudly, "Please, whoever you are, open the door. I'm not a thief, I just came to look around." But there was no response. Now he realized that hoping for help was pointless. He moved toward the cabin, and what he saw inside made his soul tremble. There were bloodstains there. The atmosphere was terrifying, but he ignored his fear and picked up a pair of scissors to try to open the door. Yet the lock still wouldn't budge. Suddenly, the whole boat started shaking violently, as if something big was about to happen. John was extremely frightened. Just then, he noticed a window above. Somehow, he managed to get out through that window and looked around. In the distance, he saw a massive cargo ship heading toward him. Its course was directly toward the same boat. John realized that if the ship collided, everything would be over. Now, he had to save his life at any cost. He thought of signaling, but he had nothing with him, so he quickly took off his shirt and waved it vigorously, hoping someone on the cargo ship would see him. But unfortunately, despite all his efforts, no one noticed him. Now John had to save his life at any cost. If his boat kept moving forward, everything could end by crashing into the cargo ship. Just then, he noticed a rope hanging near the window. An idea immediately came to his mind. If he used this rope, maybe he could stop the ship. He quickly tied the rope and threw it outside so that the boat would stop moving. But the situation got even worse. The rope got stuck in the engine's fan and, as it was pulled, it came into the bathroom and got caught around his neck. He started to suffocate. On the verge of death, he showed courage and freed himself with a tool. His neck had turned completely red. He had almost died, but managed to save himself at the last moment. The rope was stuck in the engine, which caused the ship to stop moving. But that wasn't enough. The massive cargo ship still collided with him. The violent collision shook his ship badly, and John fell to the ground and lost consciousness. He had suffered a deep injury to his head. After a while, when he regained consciousness, he saw that the bathroom was filled with water. But the most surprising thing was that it wasn't salty seawater, but completely clear and fresh water. It was as if someone was deliberately trying to scare him. Once again, he broke down and begged, "Whoever you are, please let me go." But still there was no response. Now he was hungry, thirsty, and extremely weak. Somehow, he drank water from the bathroom shower, but soon realized that the water had run out. Then, when he started drinking water from the sink, he was shocked. Now the water had turned salty. He immediately realized that there was a hole somewhere in the boat and seawater was coming in. This boat wouldn't last much longer now. Panicking, he tried to open the door, but it seemed like someone had locked it from the outside. It was nighttime, and from above it seemed that some invisible, perhaps evil force was controlling the boat. The water was rising rapidly, and John, exhausted, fell asleep. During the night, a terrible storm hit the sea, causing the boat to break apart badly and John to be seriously injured. When he woke up in the morning, the water had reached up to his head. Only his face was above the water. Now he felt that he had only a few moments left. Just then, he suddenly heard a faint clicking sound from somewhere, as if something had opened. As soon as John turned the handle, the door burst open with a loud noise. The water pressure was so great that the door broke off and fell down, and in this way, he managed to escape. As soon as he got out, he went straight to the roof of the boat so he could breathe in the fresh air, because the oxygen below was almost gone. Now he was convinced that some invisible force wanted to torment him at any cost. He was physically and mentally exhausted, and water kept filling up below. He realized that now the boat could sink at any moment. John had decided that he would not stay on this ship any longer, when suddenly he got an idea. He took out the airbags from the ship and using the broken bathroom door, made a small raft. He tied everything securely so that the raft would hold together. But to operate the raft, he still needed some more essential items. He gathered food, water, and essential tools from the ship and prepared himself completely. Then, without looking back, he got off the ship and boarding the raft, slowly started moving forward into the sea. He was on the raft, and that same big boat was still standing in front of him. Several hours passed, but he was neither able to go very far, nor did the boat, which he thought would sink in 5 to 10 minutes, actually sink. It was still in the same condition. Just then, an idea came to his mind. If this boat hasn't sunk yet, why not try to fix the leak? If he could do that, he could travel comfortably in this sturdy boat. Thinking this, he went back to the boat. First, he fixed the leak, then using pipes and tools, he made a pump so that the water could be removed. With the help of the pump he had made, the seawater that had filled the boat was gradually pumped out. After fixing the leak and removing the water, he also repaired the other problems with the ship. He also made repairs from the outside so that there would be no further problems during the journey ahead. After finishing the work, he tried once again to call for help on the radio. But this time too, there was no response. Disheartened, he returned and took out the map to try to understand the route once again. He tried to move the boat forward, but as soon as he started the engine, the boat didn't move at all, as if it was betraying him once again. The boat was completely still, as if it had become rooted in the water, and this very thought was breaking him from within. He was completely exhausted. His hopes were fading away. Just then, he saw another ship approaching from a distance. Now, he had only one option left, to reach that ship with his small raft. He immediately climbed onto the raft and quickly headed toward the ship. But just then, the ship suddenly started moving and began heading rapidly toward John, as if someone had deliberately sent it toward him. John increased his speed, but the massive ship became even faster. And just before the ship could hit him, John made one last attempt and decided to jump from his boat and swim toward the other boat that seemed to be moving away in the distance. But by the time he got there, that boat had disappeared. That's when he realized that there was some evil force on this mysterious boat that wouldn't let him leave. He had made up his mind that even if it cost him his life, he would not go back to that boat. But by evening, As he kept swimming in the water, the cold started to intensify. Dolphins were swimming below, but the water temperature had dropped significantly. Unable to bear the cold any longer, he was forced to return to the same boat. He was so exhausted and ill that he couldn't think straight. He simply wrapped himself in a blanket and went to sleep in the room, silently. When he woke up in the morning, he once again decided to leave the ship. But now he was in for another shock. The door to the room was locked. He panicked and slowly began to break down mentally. He couldn't understand why all this was happening to him. Just then, his eyes fell on a small cabin in the room. As soon as he opened it, he saw a passage leading upwards. It was a ventilation shaft through which he could get out. He crawled into the cabin, which was a cramped storage area. Every time he tried to climb up from the storage area, he would slip and fall back down. He got several injuries from falling, but he didn't give up. After falling again and again, he finally made it up and tried to open the window of the vent. But it didn't budge at all. It seemed as if it had been deliberately sealed shut. Now, the oxygen there was also running out quickly. It was getting hard to breathe. The door below was also closed. He couldn't get back into the room. He started to feel like this was the end for him. But just then, he heard that same mysterious clicking sound again. As soon as the cabin window opened with a click, John wasted no time and stepped outside. The fresh air gave him some relief. Once outside, he saw that the boat was heading toward a small island. Seeing this, hope arose in his heart that maybe now he would finally be free from this terrifying boat forever. As soon as the boat reached the shore, he got off immediately. He felt certain that there must be someone on this island responsible for all of this. Angrily, he picked up a stick and began searching the island, but was soon left astonished. There was no sign of any human presence on the entire island. Now John was once again filled with anger and fear. As soon as he stepped out of the island, a new scene appeared before his eyes. That same mysterious boat, which had brought him here, was now moving forward on the calm sea, as if searching for another victim. Seeing this, John became completely convinced that this boat and this island were under the control of some evil force. Now, he had to get out of here at any cost. His life was still ahead of him. He searched around and reached the highest peak of the island, and from there he saw another island in the distance. But it was so far away that he couldn't see what was happening there. As John kept wandering around the island, he gradually made his way back. But when he got there, his eyes widened in shock. It was the very place where his journey had begun. Everything was just the same, his old boat tied up in the exact same spot and the same people. As if nothing had changed at all. The whole atmosphere was just as before, as if nothing had ever happened. John stared at everything, transfixed. He couldn't believe that all of this, which felt like a terrible nightmare, had actually happened to him. But now the question arose, how did his boat end up there again? And what was the truth of this island? When John reached the back of the island, he was astonished. The same place, the same boat, the same people, as if nothing had changed. He couldn't believe whether all this was real or just a bad dream. But what he had endured was the truth.